What is going on, you guys? Today we are back with a great film, The Osiris Child. And the movie opens with a monologue from Indy. She tells us about her father, Kane, who was a decorated Air Force pilot on the Earth's military, but one day, he made a simple mistake that resulted in the death of all his crew members. Kane was accused of negligence due to drug abuse, but there was no evidence for that, and he got pardoned for that case, but he wasn't the same after that. He couldn't get over his guilt, which resulted in his marriage falling apart, and he then got a job at a terraforming company called Exor and moved to a new planet. Few years have passed now, and Indy has come to the new planet to visit Kane, and as he gives her a tour around the planet, they argue about why he doesn't want to come back to Earth. Kane explains that he's inspired by the idea of building a new civilization from scratch, but Indy doesn't buy it and thinks that he's just running away from his own problems. The two arrive at the capital Osiris, and Kane drops off Indy at his apartment and tells her that he'll see her in a week as he needs to go back to Flotilla, which is a giant ship owned by Exor that floats above the planet. Kane's office is there, so during weekdays he spends working on the ship. The new planet doesn't really have a government, so Exor acts like it, and they're supposed to be regulated by the United Earth government, but they like doing their own things. That night, we hear a prison guard reporting that the prison has been breached and that the beasts have escaped. We then see alien-looking monsters roaring and running in the field. The next morning, Kane wakes up in his dorm and an AI called Trevek plays him a message that was sent to him. There was one from his ex-wife, which he ignores, and then one from Indy asking his permission to visit a landmark. She also informs him that her mom's dating a man named Todd, but before the message ends, it gets cut off. Trevek informs him that communications have been temporarily disrupted, but when Kane asks him when it will be back, Trevek says that he doesn't know. Meanwhile, General Linex, who commands the Exor fleet, calls in Colonel Michael to discuss what happened the night before. Michael suggests that they tell everyone the truth and save whoever they can, but she tells them that admitting guilt will get them prosecuted for genocide. Linex then calls in all the commanders, including Kane, and tells them that the prisoners have broken out and are in possession of a lethal virus that, if released, would kill everyone on the planet. She then tells them that she's negotiating with them and to wait for her next order. Kane runs back to his room freaked out and tells Trevek to contact Indy, but he's told the connection is still out. Michael then comes to his room and reveals everything to him, informing him that 5 years ago, Exor built a facility inside the prison which they used to breed a beast called a Ragged. Their plan was to contain these beasts until there were enough of them and then ship them out to new planets so they could effectively kill indigenous species. He reveals to him that the Ragged have broken out and are now moving to the capital Osiris, and he then tells him that Linex has decided to blow up the nuclear reactor in the city and wipe everything clean within 24 hours. And she's gonna do this because then she could just blame things on the prisoners and move on. Michael was revealing all of this information so Kane can save his daughter before the city is blown up, and he tells Kane that the ship is going to be locked down in 20 minutes, so Kane steals a ship and starts driving to the planet. Linex sends another fighter pilot after him, but he still manages to escape with only his ship getting damaged, and he ejects out of the ship and lands in a nearby lake, but as he tries to get up, he's knocked out by a man named Sai. This man, Sai, drags Kane out of the water and points his gun at him while he waits for Kane to gain consciousness. Kane then wakes up shortly after, and Sai starts asking questions about who he is and why he's there. Kane tries to play dumb and says that the prisoners have a virus with them, but Sai reveals to him that he's one of the prisoners and tells him about the Ragged. Sai tells him that everyone in the prison is dead and that it won't be long until everybody else is dead as well. Kane then tells him about his daughter and begs Sai to help him get to Osiris, and Sai was hesitant to help, but he agrees when Kane reveals to him that he has a military-grade bunker that will protect them from the beasts. In a flashback, we're taken to the day before where we see Sai in the prison cafe, discussing with his friends Charles and Vim about escaping the prison. Prisoners on the planet are treated as slaves and used for free labor, and they also get no human rights, so the probability of them dying before getting freed is really high. But Sai has created a plan to escape the prison, and he has another prisoner named Carmel fight with a guard and steal his car key. He then hides it in solitary confinement, so that the next time him and his crew get thrown there, they can use the car to escape. Sai then gets up and starts a fight with a random prisoner from another gang, which starts a small riot in the cafe. The warden grabs his guards and arrives at the cafe, and everyone was expecting for Sai to be taken by the guards, but the warden tells them to continue the fight and orders his guards to stand down as long as the other prisoners behave and just watch the fight. The fight had started well for Sai, but he starts to lose the fight and he gets his ass kicked. The other prisoner then starts choking him out, so Charles brings out a knife and stabs the guy in the neck and kills him. This starts a fight between every prisoner and everyone is sent to solitary confinement, and in there, they're tortured by a continuously rotating tube which is accompanied with a flashing light so that they never have a moment of sleep or rest. The warden then picks Vim and Sai to be taken out of solitary confinement and brought to the lab. In the jail, the warden brings out the Ragged, and he explains that the Ragged can turn humans into itself by bringing out their inner monster. We then see Vim getting attacked by the Ragged, and he transforms into one of them just as a human transforms into a zombie. The warden then gets Sai ready for his transformation, but his cage suddenly opens and he drops into the floor below. Charles has managed to break out of the solitary confinement using the card, and he's also released the Raggeds so they can take out the guards. We see everything in chaos as the Raggeds attack the guards, and Vim also attacks and kills the warden. Back in the present, Kane and Sai travel to a secret bar so they could get samples and a car. They then see an armored bus parked outside, so Kane asks the bartender whose it is, and she points him to Bill and Gip, who are these drugged out couple playing a dart game but using a knife. The bartender tells him not to disturb them while they were playing, but he doesn't listen and goes up to talk to them, and he interrupts their game to ask about their bus, but Gip gets mad and puts his knife on his neck. They then kneel him down and threaten to kill him, but Sai joins in and negotiates with them and tells them about Kane's daughter and offers them $20,000 for their service. The couple agree to drive them, and they make their first drive to a weapons dealer so they can stock up on some ammunition, and they buy multiple assault rifles and grenades for $30,000 and continue their journey. While they were driving, Kane informs them about the Raggeds and the impending explosion, and he then agrees to also house them in his bunker if they help him get his daughter back. We are then taken to another flashback 2 years ago, and we are back on Earth, and Sai is getting the news from his lawyer that he might be sent to a new planet and that he'd be made an example of to other people. We then see why Sai was arrested in the first place, and Sai was a nurse who was working in a big hospital, and one night while working the night shift, he gets told a drunk driver crashed into 2 people and killed one. Sai then goes into the emergency room to help the woman that survived the crash, but he's shocked to see that it's actually his wife. He sees her dying and he's held outside while other doctors try to save her. Sai asks about his daughter, but realizes the other person dead was here, and even before he finishes grieving, his wife also passes away. Filled with anger, Sai goes to the room of the drunk driver who only got minor injuries and then beats him up and chokes him out and kills him. And that was why he was arrested and how he ended up on this planet. When we come back to the present, the crew arrives at Osiris in the morning and they're woken up by a Ragged attacking their car. The city is in chaos as people try and run away from the beasts, but they were having no luck. Bill parks his bus next to Kane's apartment, and he and Gip shoot back the Raggeds while Sai and Kane run into the building. Kane and Sai make it into Kane's apartment, but as they enter, they find the babysitters dead on the floor, but when Kane starts calling out for Indy, we see that she's alive and she comes out of the closet. With his daughter safe, they get ready to go back, but the Raggeds have made their way up the stairs and were actually blocking their way. Sai then sees only one way out, so he picks up Indy and jumps off the balcony and falls onto the bus. Kane then had no other choice but to follow his lead and fall onto the bus. While Kane and Sai were saving Indy, Bill actually gets shot by another person who was trying to kill the Raggeds and he dies, and with a lot more other Raggeds coming for them, Gip drives away without having time to mourn for her lover. They escape out of the city, but now they only had 30 minutes to make it to the bunker, and Kane tells Gip the location and she starts driving fast. As they get close and with only 5 minutes left, the crew gets spotted by an Exor jet. General Linex was watching them through the jet's camera and orders for them to be stopped, and just before the crew makes it to the bunker, the jet stops in front of them and starts to rain down bullets. The jet then leaves as there was no time, and we see that Gip has died. Sai was alive, but when he turns back, he finds that Kane is dead, but Indy was still alive, so he grabs her and starts running to the bunker. They then make it through the first door, but as they open the bunker and start going down the ladder, Sai gets stunned by a Ragged and gets infected. Sai shoots and kills the Ragged, and they both get into the bunker 5 seconds before the planet is blown up. In the bunker, Sai sees himself changing, so he tells Indy to grab him a scissor, but she realizes that he's trying to off himself and she refuses, telling him that she can't do this alone. Sai tries to reason with her, but she hugs him and reminds him that he promised Kane that he would protect her, and Sai then sees his life flashing before his eyes as he remembers everything, and everything goes blank. A few weeks later, Exor sends 2 researchers to study the planet and to see if anybody's alive, and the researchers find the bunker and realize that there might be somebody in there, and they then see Indy from afar and try to talk to her, but Sai, who's now a Ragged, kills one of them and holds the other one. Indy then walks to the researcher and asks her about what Exor told the world, and the woman informs them that Exor said the prisoners blew up the nuclear reactor, and Indy then forces the woman to take them back to the ship, as the ship is now going back to Earth. With her life on the line, the woman agrees and boards them on her ship, and the movie ends as the researchers start their ship and drive it back to the Exor fleet.